All right, Deadpool Wolverine tells a story of Wolverine who is recovering from his injuries when he crosses paths with the loudmouth Deadpool. They team up to defeat a common enemy in Deadpool versus Wolverine. Now, this movie here, this is the 34th film, Charles, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it is a sequel to both Deadpool and Deadpool 2, directed by Sean Levy, with this from a screenplay he wrote with Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Warnock, and Zeb Wells. Both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman comes back and makes his entry into the MCU to star respectively as Deadpool and Wolverine, and Emma Corrin, Marina Baccarin, Rob Delaney, Leslie Uggams, Aaron Stanford, and Matthew McFadden are all in supporting roles. Now, let me take it a little deeper before we start talking about it. In the film, the Time Variance Authority pulls Deadpool from his quiet life and sets him on a mission to save his universe, colliding with Wolverine from another universe in the process. Charles Kirkland, I'm going to start first, man. All right. I went into this as high as you can be. And when I say high, I don't mean like on drugs, but high in excitement that I knew from the way they had been putting these trailers out and the anticipation of the story, loving the tone. I wanted to figure out immediately if they would be able to get the tone of this film right. And Deadpool, when it was at the other place across the street, they nailed the tone. And I was like, will Marvel go there with the tone of what Deadpool was? Marvel, the New York Yankees, the pop superstars. Would Marvel go to an R-rated hard film? Charles, yes, they do. They lean into this movie. The opening sequence alone is worth the price of admission, which I'm not going to tell you what they do. But in introducing Deadpool to the MCU, this is a very different Marvel film that I think people have. I don't think we've seen anything from a rawness, a language standpoint, violence. Charles, am I wrong? Have we seen anything that mirrors what Deadpool and Wolverine is?
This was more Deadpool than Deadpool 1 and 2 were that Fox did. Marvel said, oh, yeah, hold this. We can point all the way
Oh
in.
man, they leaned in. All right, okay, so that's good. So again, of course, Hugh Jackman, who we literally just talked about several minutes ago, his character had been retired since 2017. But to Charles Kirkland's point, nobody ever dies in the comic world. So again, and I'm trying to talk around this because Charles, I want you to do the same thing. I want this to be as spoiler free as possible because I want people to get the surprises in the film. And let's just say that these two have a deep history, which Charles could probably elaborate a lot more than I can. And the two of them connect in this screenplay, which I think is more about this is service to the fanboys. This movie is a service film, right? It's a part of the story and it's an introduction, but it's a service film, but it is also important as a film to introduce a different tone to the MCU. It's also a way to introduce the world of mutants because Wolverine is a mutant, and now we've played around with it in some films, like you talked about Scarlet Witch, and there was some other films that they had access to those characters. Now all bets are off because they got access to everybody. And now that we can really lean into the story, I thought it was smart, Charles, to take us back to Loki, to the time variance subplot, use that, which was hugely popular when it aired on Disney Plus. Give it a context or a world where everybody is sort of familiar with what the TVA is, but use the TVA as a way, or I'm not going to say as a way, as a vehicle to introduce a bunch of characters that you might not have seen in the MCU. You might not have seen these characters in a long time, but boy, do they show up, and it is an enjoyable time, man. I'm just gonna say, and I'm gonna wrap mine up because I want to give you some time to get in here. It's really hard and difficult to talk about so many of the core scenes in this movie because they have people that you really want people to be surprised about who they're gonna watch. But I just thought, man, that Ryan Reynolds, the attention to detail, the fact that they figured out a way not just to bring Hugh Jackman into the MCU, but to bring him in a way where he gets to shine as much as Ryan Reynolds gets to shine. I just thought it was a triumph. This movie I mean, I know we throw around stuff like it's the best movie of the year and that stuff. No, I'm gonna limit this to the MCU. This movie to me is like a top. We just said it's 34 MCU films. I'm almost would say this is a top five MCU film for me. This is the top five MCU film, and this is a world where we're talking about Endgame, Black Panther. This is a top five film for me. It really is. So, with that being said, Charles Kirkland, give the audience a little more without telling them about Deadpool and Wolverine.
All right, it needs to be said. Deadpool 1 and 2 were done by Fox.
Right.
And so when Disney acquired these characters from Fox, they had to treat them in a way that was respectful, but also let you know that they know what they have. And I think that they were very respectful. This film is actually a love letter, saying goodbye to Fox and what they had done, and thanks for the memories, and we're going to take it from here. And yeah, I think they upped the ante like 12 times past what Deadpool 1 and 2 were. And Marvel said, "Hey, this is our baby. We're going to have fun with it." And they had a lot of fun with this film. There's things that again, there are lots of cameos. You have no idea who you're going to see for real. I mean, there have been rumors about who's coming up in this film, but you really have no idea. You really have no idea. And when you get in there you will be rolling in your seat going, "Oh, hey!" And it's just there's sight gags that you have to watch this film at least twice, because there's some sight gags, there's some things that happen off camera, that not off center of the camera, that if you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to miss. So to the point where I'll even mention the Leafield's feet. I'm trying to imagine how many people saw that at
Who's
Easter
feet?
egg in Liefield's feet. Rob Liefeld was an animator who did a lot of Deadpool, X-Men, X-Force. He created a lot of that stuff. And one of the commentaries on Rob Liefeld was that he could not draw feet. And so it was hilarious that there was a store in the background that's called Liefield's Feet. And so it's just all these kind of things that are happening within this film that you see, and if you're a true comic book fan, you're going to enjoy every bit of it. If you're not a true comic book fan, and you're going to enjoy, it's enjoyable no matter who watches this film. There's a lot of violence, it's a lot of blood, it's a lot of gore, it's a lot of fights, and it's all good. It's all good because we're talking about two characters who can't really die, Wolverine and Deadpool. And so when they get to fighting and they get to fighting other people, who cares? It's all the brakes are loose. Just go at it. It's action on top of action, comedy on top of comedy. It's raucous. It's just fun. It's just the most fun I've had at the movies this year. And yeah, it's pushed Marvel to another level of creation, because you look at the films like the Avengers and Endgame and all those things. They're fun, but this is like a whole different level of fun because it's just silly and just It's just interesting how they can make a film that just they just don't care what they're gonna do. That what they're gonna say. We got an R
Right.
rating. Yeah, we're gonna use it. Every inch of that R rating we're gonna have fun with, and that's what they did in this film.
Let me just say before we get out of here that the person who I thought had some of the greatest lines in the screenplay was Leslie Uggams.
Oh, absolutely.
Leslie Uggams, if you don't know who she is, she's an esteemed actress. They put her in these Deadpool films, man, and in this one particularly, woo, I learned so many new drug references from listening to Leslie Uggams in this film. I was like, oh, that's clever. Oh, they had her saying some of the most ridiculous stuff out there. But I'm with Charles, man. That's why I said for me, it's a top 5 MCU film, and I love the MCU. So I think this new direction that they're gonna go in, and not I'm not gonna say it's a new direction. I think it's a new direction for Deadpool. It reminds me of what they should have been doing with Ant-Man, but Ant-Man's not Deadpool. Deadpool is different, and that's why I used to love these movies when Fox was making them, because I was like, man, Marvel ain't gonna do that. Marvel was like, hold this, man. We'll be right. So
I
Charles,
totally agree with you. Leslie Uggams is fantastic, and she's been having quite the career lately with American Fiction and Fallout and her in the previous 2 Deadpool movies. Yeah, she's continually doing her thing.
all right, Charles. So we got about a minute left, man. What are you giving this movie, man?
I gave it a solid A. The only reason why I didn't give it an A plus because it is, I mean, the language is horribly bad. And I mean, this is not a film that you can take your little children to, so be careful with that. But
Oh,
other than that,
absolutely. Yeah, this is not a cute little regular Marvel film. They leaned into this, that did that R. Raunchy, raw. I gave it an A as well. Like I said, I can't quantify whether it's the best film of the year. It is easily the film that I was hooting and hollering like, oh dang, no, they didn't. I had a lot of fun. Matter of fact, I had so much fun. Don't be surprised by the time we come back next week, Charles. I'll be like, oh, I saw that movie like 4 times, man.